What is up, YouTube family? Welcome back to Quintessential Sports. And we are here in week 15, looking at the final stretch before the playoffs. This is about to get real fun, y'all. I know y'all enjoying it just like I am. So when I first look at this schedule, based on what happened last week, you really didn't know what teams were going to show up this week. Are the Vikings going to show up? The Bengals going to show up? The Jags going to show up? The Colts, the Browns? You don't really know who's going to do what. Tennessee, all these teams have had wins and losses just back and forth. You don't know who going to do what. Broncos, it's hard to pick these games right now. So when I first looked at this schedule, the first thing that jumped out at me was when it's so iffy like this, a lot of times you can just go with the home teams. You can just pick all home games. And a lot of times in weeks like this, you'll come out on top. Now, when dealing with point spreads, it can get a little tricky when dealing with that. But for all my sports football pool bettors, I was like, go with all home teams except for those teams that you know are going to beat a home team on the road, like Kansas City over the Patriots. You know what I'm saying? I'm pissed at myself because I actually didn't play this week. I was so caught up in other things. And when I saw it, I said, it looks so iffy. I ain't got time for this. I was pressing the deadline and didn't make it before I made my picks. And actually, when I looked at it, I would have lost on points from the Monday night game. So I still did myself a favor by not playing this week. But man, I was so damn close and I made a crucial mistake, and I'll tell you where. So first game, Chargers at the Raiders. I mean, the Chargers at this point, y'all, they're just a shell of themselves. They've totally fallen apart. Their coach should have been fired. And after this ass whipping, they had to get rid of dude immediately. I would have had a pink slip waiting on his ass at halftime. That was just the most embarrassing performance I've seen in the NFL in quite a long time. The Chargers are out here stinking up the joint and embarrassing themselves. It's bad enough that they have the reputation of choking and not performing up to their capabilities, going all the way back to the Phillip Rivers era. And then you saw what Herbert and them did last year against the Jacksonville Jaguars in the playoffs. They were the favorites and they blew it to an underdog, to a wild card team. And now they come out here, got all these big time players, and they've been stinking up the joint all year. At this point, the coach got to go. And he did. They got rid of his ass first thing smoking on Monday. And he might not even last until Monday. But I would have had his ass out of there at halftime because the owner was in the booth and they let the Raiders put up the most points in franchise history. And it was 63-21, and it wasn't even that close. Really, it's like, 56-7 for the most part. You know what I'm saying? 49-7 for majority of that game. They put up almost 50 on your ass, in 3 quarters. That was crazy to see them put up 63 points on that ass. But it was a home team won. So let's go through it. Next game was Vikings and Bengals. Another home team won by 3. The Vikings, they falling off a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can't expect much of anything without their quarterback, but still, they were really fighting hard and getting some wins here. But the Bengals, they're just one of those teams like the Browns that are balling right now. They're really fighting hard to make these playoffs. This is getting real interesting. But they pulled out a 3-point win in overtime. That's a hell of a game, man. They both was fighting their ass off trying to get that win because they knew how crucial it was for this playoff run that they trying to make. Bengals still in there. They trying to pull it out. without Joe Burrow, which is impressive. But the Vikings, they still are a formidable foe. I'm anxious to see what the Vikings could do next year if they can keep this core unit together. Steelers at the Colts. Steelers had just totally fallen apart. A lot of people are getting down on the Steelers, but what I tried to tell them is that nobody really expected anything from the Steelers in the first place. They won a lot of games that they weren't really supposed to win. So to see them, having a little, downfall right here, it's kind of expected because they don't have a quarterback. You got Trubisky coming in there. When it gets to that point, the season is pretty much done, But what's in jeopardy now is Mike Tomlin's streak of not having a losing season in his tenure. So that's what's on the line right now. I basically predicted them to be 500 when the year started, and we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Now, the Colts, on the other hand, man, they kicking ass and taking names, man. I really like this Indianapolis Colts team. They're exciting to watch, and they just play tough. They show up, and they don't bullshit around. Like, anytime you play them or any team they play, it's got to show up. And I hope they make it to the playoffs because they're going to give somebody some problems. Nobody wants to see the Colts in the playoffs. They are that team like the Jags last year that will catch you sleeping in the playoffs. I guarantee you the Ravens or even Kansas City, Miami, any of these big time AFC teams, none of them want to play the Colts. They put up 30 points on the Steelers, and every week they're around that 27, 30-point range. They are just balling, and it's fun to watch, man. I love to see an underdog team that's got a lot of heart come out week to week and punch teams in the mouth and catch them sleeping. But the Colts, ain't nobody going to be sleeping on them no more. I think everybody's got an idea that they are a problem. Now, you got the Broncos. No, hold up. Yeah, Broncos at the Lions. Another home team wins. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the fourth home team that won, right? Now, the Lions, you got to commend the Lions because it looked like they were a sinking ship, and they've been able to patch some holes and get this thing back together. They put 42 points up on Denver when Denver was the team that was looking like they were on the up and up. Now they've taken a couple losses. But yeah, much respect to the Lions. They're getting this thing together, and this is what we wanted to see. We finally got to see a real Lions team show up and be a formidable foe, and we want to see them go in the playoffs and really, be what they were supposed to be, what they were predicted to be, and what they showed us that they could be in the beginning of the year. So it looks like that they're playing their best football right here going into the playoffs, and hopefully they can, finish the season off right, because I want to see them at their maximum potential going into the playoffs to the NFC. And anxious to see who they're going to match up with. I like to see them play somebody like Dallas and see how that's going to go. Broncos, on the other hand, they blew an opportunity because they were right there behind Kansas City. And doesn't look like they're going to be able to catch them now. But they still got a chance, so we're going to see how things pan out for them these last couple of weeks. Giants at the Saints, another home game, another home team wins. Really nothing to see there. We knew the Saints were going to beat the Giants. So keep it moving. Bears at the Browns. Another home team wins. That's how many games now? Browns are balling. Man, Bears, we know they're a little suspect, so we didn't expect anything with them really. But the Browns are balling. Joe Flacco is balling. And it's impressive to watch, yo. Shout out to Joe Flacco, because a lot of people wrote him off. Told him he should have retired by now. And here he is having a second rejuvenation period in his career. I would love to see them go up against the Ravens in the playoffs and see him play his old team. That's what I'm hoping that happens. The Browns are another one of those teams like the Colts that'll come up and then punch you in the mouth. They got a hella defense. And now that Joe Flacco's doing his thing on offense, that was all they needed. So it's going to be real interesting to see what they can do down the stretch. And I'm hoping they make the playoffs and create a good matchup for us. Falcons at the Panthers, another home team wins. This one, the Falcons are blowing it. They're blowing it. They had a chance to win this division, and they lose to the Panthers on the road by 2 points. Man. And had the game, too. I think it was 7-6 majority of the game, and then blow it right at the end. Looks like Tampa Bay might take the NFC South now. And, they had to bench their quarterback. So at this point, what can you expect from the Falcons anyway? Might as well let, Buccaneers get in there and see what they can do. Because the Falcons, they're just not ready. You know what I'm saying? They still need to work some things out, especially with their quarterback position. And, but they got some potential down the road. But right now, they're just not it. Buccaneers, on the other hand, they look like they want it. They look like they're trying to go to the playoffs. They beat the Packers on the road, 34-20. Woo! Shout out to the Buccaneers, man. They've really turned it on. And I want to see what they could do in the playoffs. A lot of people, sleep on the Bucs if you want to. And they're going to catch somebody slipping. Watch. Okay, you got the Jets at the Dolphins. I mean, we knew what that was going to be, right? Jets at the Dolphins. 30-0. Jets they got nothing for nobody right now. So, nothing to see there. Chiefs at the Patriots. We knew what that was going to be. We knew the Chiefs were going to right the ship against the Patriots. And right now, Bill Belichick is looking like he's on his last leg. You hear the rumors. You heard the rumors that this is it for him, which is, I predicted weeks ago. I told you, Patriots fan, I told y'all what was coming. But I actually thought twice about it and was like, are they really going to get rid of him? But all I was saying was, don't be surprised if you start hearing the rumblings. And it looks like the rumblings are not just rumblings. It looks like he might really leave them this year and go somewhere like San Diego or Vegas. And I'm like, shit, if I was Belichick, I would love to go to one of those nice weather places too, But looks like he's about to end his legacy in New England on the bad note. And the writing is on the wall anyway. Everybody knows now that Tom Brady was the reason for his success. So, nothing to see there. Okay, you had the Texans at the Titans. You know which team was going to show up, but the Texans pulled it out. Now, C.J. Stroud is in concussion protocol, so not sure what Houston's going to be able to provide from here on out. Keep that in mind next week when you're making your picks. But Titans, you just can't figure them out. When you pick them to lose, they win. When you pick them to win, they lose. 49ers at the Cardinals. Nothing to see there. Only thing that's concerning was they gave up 29 points to the Cardinals, but the Cardinals are tough out now that they got Murray back. But the 49ers put up 45 points, man. They are just rocking on offense, and they look like they're ready for the playoffs and to make this Super Bowl run. They're my Super Bowl pick anyway. Commanders at the Rams. Washington, they played commendably, but you knew the Rams was going to pull that out at home. And they trying to make some noise in the NFC. Everybody wrote them off, and they've been pulling out some wins lately. So we're going to see what the Rams can do these last couple of days. They might be able to squeeze in there. Cowboys at the Bills. Now, I told y'all that these Cowboys were fool's gold. They say, how did you say that? How could you say that the Cowboys were fool's gold? They beat the Eagles. They finally beat somebody that was formidable. And then I told them, I said, but did you see that how the Eagles were playing? The Eagles almost lost to the Bills. They should have lost to the Bills. Then they got mollywopped by the 49ers. So when the Cowboys beat the Eagles, everybody thought it was such a big deal. And it was like, the Eagles are not playing their best. So you couldn't really judge the Cowboys based on that Eagles win. And now you see the Cowboys go to Buffalo and get smacked. Get smacked. And now what people are realizing, like they always do with the Cowboys, is that they are not who we thought they were. Well, they're who I thought they were. Every year for the last 26 years, they've been who I thought they were. Fool's gold. I tell them that every single year. And they fall for the same tricks every single year. At this point, I realize that Cowboy fans are insane. Because what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. The Cowboys are going to do the same thing this year, but they're expecting different results. Now, the word is out on them that they cannot stop the run. You got teams running for like 260-something yards on them. Everybody's figured out Dallas's weakness right here at the end, at the most crucial time. So you think Dallas is going to be able to plug those holes and fix this in the most crucial time? You're supposed to be playing at your best going into the playoffs, not having everybody figure out what your weakness is. So it's not a wrap for the Cowboys, but I think it's going to be trouble in Dallas real soon. Who they got next week? They got Miami next week. We're going to see what the Cowboys are really made of. And I've never believed in them and can't understand why any of y'all would have. You had the Ravens at the Jaguars. Ravens are playing real good right now. They're looking like the best team in the AFC. I still don't think they are, a Super Bowl caliber team without their tight end. So they're still a little suspect to me. But based on what they've been doing in the regular season, these last how many weeks, you got to give the Ravens their props. They are the number 1 seed right now. And pretty sure they're going to be able to finish off the season on a good note. They got a big game against San Fran, I believe. That's going to be on Christmas Day. Woo, that's going to be the game of the year right there. That's what a lot of people think the Super Bowl is going to be. It might be a Super Bowl preview. I don't think it's going to be the Super Bowl preview. But a lot of people think the Ravens are going to Super Bowl. So we're going to see. I got the 49ers in that game. I'm sticking with the 49ers all the way through. I just think it's their year. You got the Eagles and the Seahawks. Man, if the Eagles wasn't already feeling down in the dumps and feeling that pressure and that tension in the locker room, this one turned it up 100 notches because they were beating the Seahawks and they let Drew Lock come back on them right at the end and throw a game-winning touchdown with like 28 seconds left. They had the game. They thought everything was about to be fixed with a win because a win cures everything, right? They were about to squeeze out a win against Seattle playing with their backup quarterback, and they let him come in and do heroics on their ass. So when you lose a game like that, and you already been on a losing streak and playing suspect these last 3 weeks, and you lost 2 in a row, now your locker room is looking real shaky right now. And listening to some of the comments, watching A.J. Brown bitch and complain and acting like a T.O. type of situation, the Eagles better be real careful. You might have a T.O. Donovan McNabb situation about to go down in Philly. Got to be real careful with that. It's going to be interesting to see how they pull this thing together. Now, the interesting thing about the Eagles, luckily for them, they got a couple of easy games to finish the season out. So, like I said, winning cures all. So, they get a couple wins under their belt, they can go into the playoffs and think that everything is good. But I think playing two easy teams might be just like a Band-Aid for them. I don't think it's really going to test them the way they really need to be tested to see what's really wrong with them right now. The defense is not playing up to par. The defensive line has not been dominant like they were last year. Looks like Jalen Hurts is really hurt, maybe. AJ's frustrated. The running game is suspect. They are just not playing up to par right now. Maybe a couple of wins to finish the season off will help them get back where they need to be and get their confidence back right for the playoffs. But they better do something quick because they're teetering right now. And if they lose that locker room, it's going to be a problem. I never believed in the Eagles anyway. I told y'all they were fool's gold like 5 weeks ago, and none of y'all believe me. So now pay me my money. And until next week, y'all, I'll holla. 100.